The Nathan, Nat and Shaun podcast.
Just quickly, the NBA draft lottery took place just minutes ago.
Yes.
And so the NBA have a system where the bottom teams, instead of the bottom team gets the number one pick and, vice versa as it goes up, as the AFL does.
And you just get a slip pick.
To stop people from just chucking in the season and going for the number one pick, they put everyone's name into a lottery system and the balls go around.
So if you finish bottom, you get a better shot.
You get
at
a
the
better
lottery?
shot, so
Yes.
more balls in.
Yeah.
Represent you percentage-wise, and then it comes down. Well, the Dallas Mavericks, who have had a shocking year, and everyone's wanted to kill their general manager for getting rid of Luka Doncic.
And we're in America, so that's
big
real.
time.
They want to kill him.
They had a 1.8% chance of winning the top pick, and they've won it.
Wow.
The Dallas Mavericks will get the first pick. It's not taking place until after the NBA Finals, but a guy called Cooper Flagg is the number one guy.
Great name.
Flagg.
Oh, double G. Didn't see that
Flag.
coming. That's exciting.
It is exciting for their team. It also turned out to be the Spurs, who are a pretty good team, and the 76ers, who are a really good team as well. They had really low percentages of getting a good draft pick. They actually come in second and third, and the teams who are right down the bottom, who are really bad, they end up getting their draft picks will start at like 5, 6, 7. So they've missed out in a big way.
So, Shaun, the first 15, right, that don't go on the lottery because they've done well, they get to cherry pick first. Is that right or not? No.
No, the first, 15.
Yeah, so the bottom half get in a lottery, yes? Of the teams?
Right,
the top half?
Yeah.
What happens with them?
Oh, their draft picks come at the end, so they would probably be 15 onwards, so 15, 16, 17,
Oh,
that
okay,
kind of
right,
stuff.
so they get
onwards.
the dregs.
Yeah, they get the dregs, absolutely.
Well, that's right.
Anyway, that's happened in the NBA.
understand
But
sports,
there's
so.
been a lot of news in the cricket world. We saw that Virat Kohli decided that he's no longer going to play Test cricket.
Yeah.
That's great. What a career he's been. He'll just play the short form. So, I mean, what's he going to get paid to play IPL still? $2 million bucks? I mean,
He'll
what
be
a tough
okay.
life.
I think he'll be
Wouldn't do
okay.
it.
I wouldn't,
Exactly.
I wouldn't do it. That'd be hell for me.
No. I mean, his net worth's around the $100 million marker, so he's doing okay. But the other thing that we've seen, because of Pakistan and India at war, there was some bombs, missiles sent from either country just recently, is that the IPL has been put on pause. And the IPL have just said it's stopped because both nations have said they've put a pause on fighting against each other.
Yeah, so there's a ceasefire. Yeah.
Ceasefire. So the competition will begin back again this Saturday. But in the meantime, a couple of Australians have decided, hey, that's not the place for us. We're coming home. I don't care about my contract. One of them is Mitchell Starc, who's married to Alyssa Healey. And Alyssa Healey just overnight was on a podcast just describing a moment where Mitchell was playing at a game, which she was at, and this has only happened a few days ago, and the lights went out at the stadium. They didn't quite know what was going on to begin with.
God.
And then she explains what happened from that point on. Here's Alyssa.
Next minute, the guy that kind of wrangles the group of us and gets us on the bus and whatnot came up, and his face was white. And he was like, we need to go right now. And we were saying, oh, it's okay. Like, we're probably best off letting everyone else get out of the stadium and, like, stay here. We're probably safer at the moment because there'll be bloody people going down the stairs everywhere. And then the next guy came out. His face was white, grabbed one of the children, said, we need to leave right now. And we were like, what's going on? We weren't told anything. We had no idea. Next minute, we're down, being shuffled into this room. It was like a holding pen. All the boys are there. Faf didn't even have shoes on. He didn't even have shoes on. They're all just waiting there looking stressed. And I said to Mitch, like, what's going on? And he said the town 60 kilometres away had just been smacked by some of the missiles. And so there was a complete blackout in the area, which meant that's why the lights were off, because the Dharamshala Stadium was like a beacon at that point in time. So they turned the lights off and they were evacuating everyone. So all of a sudden we're crammed into vans and off we go back to the hotel. There was madness. We were sitting on the bus with some of the Punjab players. I think Shreyas was on my bus. So it was just like, get in a van as soon as you can, get out of there.
So the stadium had to turn its lights off just so they weren't a target.
This is crazy.
And nobody knew
It's
until
really
they were
scary.
just walked into ran into the buses.
You don't
and
know.
got
You
out of
don't
there.
know. Like, we've seen people get bombed, places get bombed, and some of them not even picking targets, they're just dropping them. Like, so you could go back and go,
And you go 60 k's away. That sounds like a long way, but it's not really.
not.
It's not really.
No,
at
not
all.
when you're firing from 1,000
John,
k's.
have you ever read, I know that you didn't travel too much overseas playing football, but when you did, and the players these days, are they given the whole rundown of what could possibly happen, like, safe travel and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah,
They get,
okay,
like, a
Nate.
brief
One
of,
time
"Don't
we
go
went
and do this." And
one time we went to Thailand as a footy trip, and fortunately enough, there was a guy whose brother's the head of the military in Thailand. And he came down to Perth actually, and he ran us through all the stuff. We all individually had like this I don't know, card or something, and it had basically get out of jail free card in a sense.
Oh.
So if there was any kind of trouble, you handed that over.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yours was actually from Monopoly, wasn't it, though?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I only used
You
it 3
didn't need
times.
it.
I used it 3 times. Someone borrowed everyone else's. Can I just have 7 please?
Have you used yours yet? Pass it over.
Yeah.
No, but it was really interesting, and it makes you scared, but it makes you. It keeps you aware of
That's right.
situations that may occur.
It means you stay vigilant.
The only thing that Natalie
don't
and
be an
I-
idiot is the other part.
The only
Don't
thing
be
Natalie
an
and I have experienced anything to do with that is we were over in Bali for the Amazing Race. We were doing an ad.
Yeah, we're filming a promo for a competition.
And the promo was us
I
running
remember.
through the streets, and it was just after Chappelle Corby, and we had to carry around at all times a letter from the Australian consulate, was it? I can't remember. It was some official letter basically saying, don't arrest them.
Yeah.
Cool.
And do not check Nathan's boogie board.
Do not check his
Whatever you
board.
do.
No, it's in.
Yeah.
I bring my stuff in Natalie's bag.
The thing about this Indian situation is at the beginning of the season, there's been conflict on the border between Pakistan and India. It's been tense for decades.
Yeah.
And now the fact that, so all the players go over every year and they play in the IPL and it's all fine and they get the money and they come home and everybody has a great time. The fact that this is the 1 year, you never would have anticipated that that's going to ramp up and then all of a sudden there's missiles being dropped.
Incredible.
That's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Because you go to those IPL games, there's a lot of fireworks. So
Yeah,
you don't know
that's
what's
true.
happening
Yeah,
here. Hey, it's part of it.
exactly. God, scary times.
I don't know. I don't think a town's been evacuated by the girl with the sparkler.
I mean, that's true.
coming!
The Nathan, Nat and Shaun podcast.
All right, the only place to watch every game of every round live and ad break free during play is with Fox Footy and KO Sports. We're catching up with Fox's Ben Damon right now, who's the boxing specialist. I've been seeing Benny for years, holding court when it comes to that in particular. And Ben, we've got a couple of ripping fights coming up, actually. Sam Goodman in action and Harry Garside, which most people around Australia know from his Olympic exploits. Morning, mate.
Yeah, for sure. Morning, guys. Yeah, very exciting tomorrow night. We've got that double header you mentioned on main event. So Harry Garside, people would know him from winning that bronze medal at the Olympic Games in Tokyo and then going back trying to win gold but falling short and losing in the first round, but probably winning more fans because of the way that he handled himself.
That was heartbreaking,
in that
wasn't
interview
it?
after. Everyone wanted to give him a hug, didn't they? After that?
It was
So-
full on. And then because I've not heard from Harry since that.
Well, no, he went on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. And
I didn't watch that.
he went a fair way.
out of that.
Yeah.
He as well, I think, a whole lot. So.
I said to Shaun, is he recovered from that? Because that was raw. That was so raw, his pleading and all that sort of stuff. So, and I wonder what that does to your psyche.
We'll find out tomorrow night because he's going to go back into the professional ranks. He's had 3 pro fights previously in amongst all that amateur boxing that he did for the Olympics. He won all of those, but this time around, that's his full focus. That's what he wants to do. So he's back in a big way tomorrow night, trying to win world titles and go on to those big sorts of things. But we'll see what his psyche is like because he's a fascinating character and a very likeable one as well.
Yeah, I think he's got big upside for outside the boxing ring, certainly. I'm not sure if he's hard enough, Ben, to be perfectly honest.
Like us,
Anyway,
Shaun.
that said, Sam Goodman is hard enough, in my opinion.
Tell him
I'll
to
tell
his
him that. I'll
face.
tell him.
I mean, he'll dance all around me. That's the problem. At times. But Sam Goodman, the other Aussie who's in action, he's a weapon.
He is, yeah. He's been very unlucky. So he was meant to fight for the undisputed world title, like all the belts, the big prize.
Yep.
But he got a bad cut earlier in the year, so that was called off. They gave him another month. He tried to have another training session just before he was going to fly out, and he got another cut. So it was just horrendously unlucky. It's cost him over $1 million.
So just paper cuts?
So these cuts, right? What's the deal with the cut?
Paperish.
So
Paperish.
you get a
16
cut.
stitches in his eyebrow. He had the second one. So you can't really go into a fight with that. But he's over all that now. He's coming back tomorrow night against a really tough Mexican, and he's trying to get back to the big time because that is just heartbreak what happened to him.
So cut. So you get your stitches.
Yeah.
When can you play again? Once the stitches are out, or you can play with the stitches in.
Oh, no, but if you got...
You don't want to you don't want to go into a fight and get cut straight away again because you're going to have blood running down your face and into your eyes. We saw that with Tim Tszyu last year when he had that really bad cut in that big fight in Las Vegas, and it just really does not help. So you've got to wait for it to heal up. He thought he'd be all right after a month. They went back and just had a little light training session. His mate punched him in the face and everything
With
exploded.
a knife.
So,
And then,
you know what it's
Normal
like on a night out.
Hey, Ben, I want to ask you, being the specialist which we've seen for many, many years with the boxing in particular, going over to the US and being a part of that whole stuff in Vegas.
The circus.
Yeah. What's that like? And is it hard to keep your mind on the job of working when you're over in places like that?
Absolutely, but when you go to Vegas, I think it's assumed you're going to work some of the time and you're not going to work a fair bit of the time.
Cool.
So when you go in, the glitz and the glamour of everything you see in the airport, the pokies that are in the airport and everything ridiculous, it is so exciting. When you're leaving, you hate all of that. You just want to get out. You want to go home to normality. But yeah. I've been very lucky. I've done 21 fights in Vegas and looking forward, hopefully, to doing a 22nd with Tim Tszew's fight coming up in July, because it is the boxing capital of the world. It's a bizarre place, but it's a lot of fun over there.
I want to talk about the celebrities in the crowd of those boxing matches. Now, are we looking at A-list stars like the Charlize Therons and the Beyoncés, or are we looking at the Kid Rocks and the Donald Trump ones?
More the Kid Rocks and Donald Trump are in the UFC. They're more UFC based. We in boxing tend to have a slightly more highbrow crowd, but we at least like to think so. But yeah, they're certainly a big UFC audience. The latter.
Oh, so they're the West Coast Eagles.
Yeah,
are they? Yeah. Next? They're the higher ones, and the
Chardonnay sippers.
Hey Ben, who have you met along the journey in those being amongst those types of people?
Sorry, what?
Well, who have you met? Give us a celebrity or big hype.
Oh, right, yeah. I've been very lucky. I've spent a fair bit of time with some big stars like Mike Tyson. Had some interesting times interviewing him, where he cried at different times.
What did you do to him?
A couple of times.
Did he storm off?
Yeah, stormed off, and then the next day we had another day of interviews where I was doing more stuff with him booked, and I thought, we've had such a bonding experience yesterday. Mike and I, we're best friends now.
Yeah.
I turned up and he came over and he said, "Hi, I'm Mike Tyson." He completely forgot.
Shaun, this is going to be you. But straight away, if you're having a bad thing with Mike Tyson, we all know, just talk to him about pigeons, yes?
Yeah, well, that is an easy way through. Yeah, he does love pigeons, which is quite bizarre, and he gets quite emotional about it. He's very passionate about his favourite pigeon that he remembers when he was a kid. Yeah. Stuff like that.
So am I. I'm a former pigeon racer.
There's a cartoon of him where it's him fighting crime with a pigeon.
Yeah. He's an interesting guy.
Do you get a photo with him, by the way? I know we're harping on this a bit, but because, they're big stars, do you actually...
Look, I'm not huge on the as an adult male asking another adult male for a photo.
What do you mean?
It seems a bit strange, but look, I think there are photos that exist. So but no, I'm not a big. Hey, can I get a photo with you?
Well, don't do that. Be memorable. Be more memorable. Go. Hey, excuse me, Mark. Can I draw you? Like one of my French girls.
Would you like a photo with me?
Yeah, there you go.
That's better. And Ben, I just want to wrap things up by talking about the Perth Bears. The rugby league team is coming into WA, and there was talk last night on NRL. That the NRL show that Mel Meninga is thrown his hat into the ring. The Australian coach himself says, "I want to coach the Perth Bears." You hear this?
Yeah, well, that'd be huge. I think a big name like that would be really important to establish the brands. They were over here as the North Sydney Bears for so long. Mel played against that team when he was with the Canberra Raiders. Now heading over there, it'd be great to have him as a figurehead sort of. He'd have to live there, yeah. He'd have to live there.
Mel Meninga.
Hey, Shaun, where would he move? He'd move straight to your area, wouldn't he?
No, he'd be Cottesloe, mate.
Well, he lived a lot of his life in Canberra, so I think he's perfectly happy to go to Perth.
Any suburb in Perth will do.
Step up for sure.
Yeah, we don't have quite the sex industry, but anyway.
Better be.
Some suburbs we do. We've got the rip roaring.
Hey, Benny Damon, really appreciate your time, mate.
No, pleasure. Thanks so much.
Take
Bye-bye.
care, mate.
Ben, thank you.
Nathan, Nat and Shaun is a Nova podcast. For more great comedy shows like this, head to novapodcasts.com.au. Nova.